Hi, I'm James Vowles. I'm the Motorsport Strategy Director for the team, and I'm here to answer your questions about the Italian Grand Prix. Qualifying 3 in Monza was a mess. You would have seen that nearly all cars, apart from one, which was Sainz, missed the flag. And Sainz, even then, only crossed it milliseconds before the checkered flag dropped. So why was this? In Monza, it's all about reducing drag on the car. You would see that we run very small rear wings. And the result of that is also that you want a car in front of you that you can tow off, that's braking the airflow and allowing you to have a drag reduction in your car. And indeed, the further you are back in the queue, to a certain extent, the better it becomes. And it's powerful. It's worth several grid positions. So if you get it right, you can qualify on pole. If you get it wrong, you'll qualify 4th, 5th in the case of ourselves and Ferrari. Vettel on that first run was by himself. He was towing all the other cars behind, and you saw the penalty. He ended up 4th after the dust settled. We knew this would happen, and that's why in qualifying 3, run 1, we opted to do a start, a technique that we had used elsewhere previously with success in Baku. Teams don't have enough time to react to you doing it and get on the radio, which means normally their drivers have driven past you before anything can happen, and that's what happened. Ferrari came out just behind us in the pit lane, missed the opportunity and went out, and Vettel had to do the lap by himself. On run 2, we knew it would be difficult, especially after the red flag when Kimi had spun. And all teams were just counting down the time to when they thought they could leave and still get a lap on the board, as long as the outlap was reasonable. On the outlap itself, you saw drivers jostling for position, Hulkenberg and a few others driving left of the circuit through the shortcut loop in order to really get themselves out of position. And it didn't work, and everyone kept backing each other up on track, and it was very, very difficult. We all knew we were at risk of losing the flag, of not getting a lap in, but equally you didn't want to be first on the road, because you knew if you were, you would only be benefiting those behind you, and we were in a strong position. Ultimately, cars backed themselves up too much to the point where we couldn't correct for it, and it was too late. We missed the flag, and we missed the flag by a few seconds. Free practice on Friday in Monza was very interrupted. We had 4 red flags and rain on and off throughout all of the sessions. The only long ones that we did at the end of FP2 were still even then affected by drizzle, and it meant that they weren't representative of what was going to happen in the race, which was going to be warmer and dry. No one ran the hard in anger, and indeed the first signs we properly saw of it were in the race when Vettel stopped after his early issue and he was fighting back through the field. It looked robust, but a little bit slow. Sensible if you want to go to the end of the race from the very beginning, but not necessarily the right tyre for a one-stop race, which both Ferrari and ourselves knew it would be. As we got towards the stop, we saw an opportunity when Sainz came out of our pit window. It was an undercut. We were around 1.5 seconds behind Leclerc at the time with Lewis, and to fit the hard tyre would have been really devastating to the undercut. If you're going to go for the undercut, you need the softest rubber available to do that, and that was the medium compound. It was the best chance of making that undercut work. Lewis did an exceptional outlap. He did everything he could. He used the engine modes in the way he should be using them. Ultimately, Leclerc was able to box 1 lap later and come out just 0.6 ahead of him. That's all we were shy by. One small trip up from Ferrari to pit stop would have been enough. But the reality is we closed in, but we weren't close enough to be able to complete the undercut. Lewis now, though, was in a position where he was on warm medium tyres against Leclerc's hard tyres that needed to warm up, and it was one of our best opportunities. There were 2 Renaults ahead, and indeed it became difficult because they were providing a tow, or even at some points getting in Leclerc's way. And it was an interesting race, but ultimately we weren't able to capitalise properly on that situation as much as Lewis tried. Before the race started, we highlighted that our best chance to beat Ferrari was to go 1 car on the slightly shorter side, 1 car on the longer side, and create a situation that Ferrari may not be able to cover in both circumstances. The difficulty was Vettel. When he was there, you could lose a position to him, and Ferrari can use him to effectively stop the car going very long. When he spun, however, the opportunities were then created, and we executed the plan. With Lewis, we took the first available opportunity to undercut, which appeared when Sainz moved out of the pit window. With Valtteri, he always knew that he was going to go on the longer side, take the medium tyre and attack at the end of the race when Leclerc's tyres would be at its weakest. That plan worked. He was very, very quick at the end of the race, and Lewis had done everything he could but wasn't able to get through. Leclerc now damaging his tyres to defend. However, it wasn't meant to be. Valtteri tried his hardest, got close twice, but on both of those occasions not close enough in order to complete the overtake, despite that big difference in both tyre age and compound. As we went into it, there isn't really one strategy that works out better or worse. Lewis could have managed his tyres more and attacked less and would have made it to the end of the race and kept his P2. But he did the right thing. You fight for the win. Just on this occasion, damaged his tyres doing so and wasn't able to get through and was compromised as a result. All season long, Ferrari have been faster than us in a straight line. That's their strength. We're strong through the corners, they're strong on the straights. And that was no different in Monza. Lewis used everything he had available to him on the power unit and other systems in order to try and overtake Leclerc in front. The power unit itself has modes, including an overtake mode. He used that and it delivered the maximum power available. It just wasn't enough to get past the extremely fast Ferrari in front of him. Towards the end of the race, after Lewis had been attacking Leclerc for many, many laps, you would have seen that he started to drop off. The medium tyres were done. We waited though, because the next opportunity was fastest lap. Had we pitted beforehand and converted to a two-stop, he never would have caught back up to the leaders. And indeed, there are circumstances towards the end of the race that may have helped him, a VSC or a safety car. Even without that, you want to make sure the fuel has been run down so that when he goes to the fastest lap attempt, he's on the best possible fuel load to do that. And that's why we waited. By the time Valtteri had caught up to the back of Leclerc, Leclerc had already been used to our car. He knew where we were strong and where we were weak. Indeed, he defended against Lewis for around 20-30 laps of the race. So the reality was, by the time Valtteri had caught back up, not only had his tyres been used a little bit, but more so, Leclerc knew exactly where to defend and how to defend. The same problems Lewis had still remained. We weren't quite, with all the engine modes enabled, fast enough in a straight line in order to make the overtake happen, but more so, you now had an experienced Leclerc in front of you that knew how to defend. Thank you very much for all of your questions. We look forward to answering more after the Singapore Grand Prix.